Hello, everybody. I just wanted to give you guys some explanation before questions arise about how to do your ancient Greek theater. It's all Greek to me assignment. We should now be getting into the third week. If you have been staying up to par where you're supposed to be, we want to be completing slides 29 through 36 this week by next Sunday midnight. But some of you might want to work ahead, and that's fine too. So I'm going to go ahead and explain both this week and next week's slides and what it is that you're supposed to be doing. If you didn't do first and second week, you can catch it here on the It's All Greek to Me explanation for the first 2 weeks, and then this one will be, of course, the third and fourth week. All right, so when you go to your slides, okay, this week we are working on slides 29 through 36. So it starts here with the actors, okay? And then when you go here, you're gonna wanna click on the mask. Let me put in presentation mode right now. It says to go ahead and click on the mask to learn more. So when you click on the mask, it will open up a new tab and it will give you information that you need to read, okay? But not just that. Okay, so then you want to describe a typical Greek performing artist and include any specific details about using Greek acting skills, about useful Greek acting skills. You want to go ahead and insert a text box here and go ahead and write that description in, okay? Next, you're going to learn about the masks, costumes, and props. And you can click right there, of course, to watch a video about stuff. So you're just going to click play here, and it'll take you to a 2-minute and 35-second video. And of course, you can pause at any time. The next slide is then going to ask you to list 4 things you learned about each special area. So you want to have 4 bullet points for mask, 4 for costume, 4 things that you learned about props during this time, and 4 things about special props. On the next page, you're going to create a Greek thespian in full costume with a mask holding a prop. Now the note says if you draw this by hand, you need to make sure you take a picture and you insert it on the next page. I do have a couple of examples, just depending on how you want to do that, okay? So this would be an example of drawing a picture by hand and then taking a picture of that, uploading it to your Google Drive, and then uploading that or, attaching that to this slide here. All right, you can see this person here. They kind of got some stock photos off of Google probably, and they went, here's what my costume looks like. They did a little bit of cutting, didn't cut this out here, but then they found a mask and made it the appropriate size. And you can see here, oops, sorry, let me go back here. You can see here that they just moved it over his head because he needs to have a mask. So they put it like that. And then here's a prop. It's a crown. It's technically a costume prop, but this would be the crown that he is wearing. So you could do something like that where you're finding some pictures and kind of lumping them on top of each other, making sure it is the full costume and finding it online like that, bits and pieces. Or again, you can draw by hand, color, or in black and white, and then upload that onto the slide, okay? So that is your job for this week, 29 through 36, okay? However, whether it be this week or next week, to finish the assignment, you're going to go and you're going to learn about the structure of a Greek tragedy. So when you get to this slide here, of course, you'll click on there and you're going to learn about the typical structure of a Greek tragedy. That means the way it's written. Nowadays, if you were to read a book or a novel, it would be divided into chapters. That would be a structure. And then we have a typical thing of how we tell stories. And, think about like Story Hill and things like that. Well, what was the structure of Greek tragedies? How did they do that? So that's what we're learning on this last part here. And then there's going to be several links. Click here, there's more, and actually click here, there's a few more links. So in total, you have about 5 links for the structure of Greek tragedy. You want to make sure you read that. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to complete the task at the end. So when you get to this activity here, it says, explain how Simba from The Lion King exhibited each of Aristotle's elements essential for him to be a tragic hero. So when I think about a tragic hero, it's the main character in a tragedy. And I look at these different terms here that I will have learned about from the previous links. Okay, and I typed this in here for you. You don't have it on your slide, but I think you say it, hamartia. This is like a tragic flaw, and it leads to that hero's downfall. It could be that they die, or it just could be that it ends everybody else around them dies. But somehow this tragic flaw is part of that. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples and not tell you the answer from The Lion King. But think about Romeo and Juliet. I think most of you have read Romeo and Juliet. We would say that a tragic flaw that they have, it could be that they're very impulsive. They don't necessarily have a lot of patience and think things through. They want something right away, right now, and that is what causes them to get married so quickly. That is what causes them to take their own lives at the end without really thinking through the consequences. If you think about the classic Greek myth, the Odyssey, which I think you also have all read or familiar with from your 9th grade year, and you think about Odysseus, what are some things that he has as a tragic flaw? Probably one huge thing that stands out to me is his pride. He's very prideful. So when he and whoever is left of his men get off the island with Cyclops, instead of just leaving as quickly as possible, he taunts the Cyclops, and which makes Cyclops like throw a big rock at their ship and causes the wave to take them all the way back to shore. They get away again, and instead of just leaving Oloneth alone, Odysseus again taunts the Cyclops. So 2 times he almost gets them killed because he's so prideful about stuff. So that could be an example of hamartia with Odysseus. Okay, so of course you want to know what hubris is and all these terms are, and apply them to the character of Simba in The Lion King. All right, so that's what you're going to be doing next week, or earlier if you start earlier. Then you want to go ahead and check the box, either yes here or no here, whether you think The Lion King follows the conventional elements of Greek theater. So it's going to say, is there a protagonist? Okay, I'll give you that one right now. We're talking about Simba. Yes, it's the protagonist right there. Is there a reversal of fortune? Is there unity of place and of time and of action, etc.? You're just going to put what you think, yes or no. Okay, then when you get to the final slide, the final activity, sorry, I got to go back into presentation mode. You're going to click here. It's going to take you to a Google Doc, but please, please, please make sure you do not write on this Google Doc, okay? So read the directions first. It says to use this file, click File, Make a Copy, and create your own copy. So what I want to do is I want to go over here. I want to click on File and Make a Copy, and then you could title this whatever you want, okay? It'll say copy of final activity. It doesn't matter, but title it what you want, okay? And then you'll click OK. And then voila, it's going to give you your own copy. And then you can type in here, okay? So what does it tell you to do? And I know some people were confused. This says group activity. It's not a group activity. It's you are doing this yourself. Okay, use a fairy tale or movie that is familiar to everyone. When it says in the group, think of in the class. Okay, so we've already done Lion King, so don't do Lion King, but think of other Disney movies, or think of those bedtime stories and fairy tales that we might know, or just a really common movie. Okay, next, you become Greek playwrights and write it as a Greek tragedy using the 5 essential sections and follow the example below. So again, even though this says group activity, this is going to be each person doing it on their own. All right, so I give you an example of Cinderella. What is the prologue of Cinderella? What is the Parados? Episode 1, Stay Simone 1, etc. And it goes all the way down to our Exodus here. Okay, so all you're going to do is you're going to come over to this side here, and you're going to type away with whatever your fairy tale is. And of course, come up here and change whatever you're going to change it here. So let's just say you're going to do Frozen. Okay, what is the prologue of Frozen? What is the Parados? Give me 1 or 2 sentences, or 3 if you have to describe that. Okay, now here's the thing. Okay, you may have to change the ending because it needs to be a tragedy. And I would say, in my example with Frozen, it's not a tragedy. Okay, so how would I make it a tragedy? And again, tragedy, a lot of times that main character or protagonist dies, or many people around that protagonist die, of course, leaving the protagonist very sad and lonely. Okay, so in this case, we have, oh, I can't even remember their names. We have Anna and the other one. Anna and, anyway, you know what I'm saying. So what happens to Anna and her sister? Elsa, thank you. What happens to Anna and Elsa in Frozen that would make it a tragedy? So you're making that up. You're changing that ending in order to fit the structure of what a tragedy is. Okay, so do that on your own. And I'm going to close this down here. And again, don't forget to make a copy of that. Now, what you need to do, though, is when it is time to turn it in, and it's going to look a little bit different on my end, but when it's time to turn it in, let me see if I can show you. I'm in Miss Lee's class as a student, so I can kind of get more of a student view here. So when it is time to turn in the assignment, trying to look for an assignment here. These are questions. Okay, let's see. Maybe this one here. Oh, I already turned it in. Sorry. Questions. No, I want an assignment. Here we go. Let's make slides. Okay, so this is what it looks like for you, right? So up here in this top right-hand corner, it says add or create. So I will go to my Google Drive and I will find my copy that I just made. Mine, I saved as copy of final activity. Okay, and I will then add that to the assignment here. So I have my work right over here, and then I will turn in this work. Okay, mine says resubmit because I already turned this work for something else. But that's what you're going to do when it's time to do the final assignment. Okay, and so we were over here, and you're doing that for It's All Greek to Me, and then you're going to turn that in. Okay, so remember, Tuesday and Thursday, I do have office hours at 2:30 p.m. You're going to want to use the Zoom. Okay, office hours right here. Use the Zoom link, not the Google Meets. The Zoom link will let you, because I want to meet with anyone, whether you're in period 2 or whether you're in period 7. So that's why we have to use the Zoom Meet. Okay, all right, I hope that answers your questions.